Hey folks, welcome back to another video. Today it's about synthwave, and I try to show you how you can make a super simple synthwave track in Bitwig Studio. You can also maybe do this in other audio workstations because not much of that is actually Bitwig specific. I'm not a synthwave producer myself. I know some tips and tricks here and there. But if you want to see real synthwave production, then I highly recommend you the channel of Pilot, which he does a lot of live streams showing how you make synthwave the right way. I put a link in the description, of course. So let's start and have some fun. Okay, so how do we start? We start from scratch here in Bitwig Studio, but you can probably do this in every audio workstation. You don't need to use Bitwig, but at some points, at some occasions, I would use probably some Bitwig specific stuff. So let's start here with the BPM, maybe the new one, 115, and maybe we create a new clip here, 4 bars, and maybe we should create some kind of synth dreamy lead sound we can use for our chords, and maybe we use the polysynth here. Or we can use also polymer. I show it first here with the polysynth. So we just need to turn down here the low pass on this one. Increase unison. Make the release longer. Take a bit different release. The polysynth already sounds pretty 80s, I would say. And on that we can put the rotary or rotary. And maybe a reverb. I would say it sounds pretty nice already. Maybe we use here velocity for our filter envelope depth. So the more you put pressure on your keys, nice. Maybe we use velocity also here for unison a bit. And maybe we put a random modulation here onto the pitch. So we modulate the pitch a tiny bit. So we have kind of a tape, you know, tape effect. Maybe use here a 4-pole low pass. That should be nice. For chords. Okay, maybe let's start with this first. Yeah, switch back to the 1-pole or 2-pole. Yeah, let's lay down some notes here. Maybe we start with A, so an A minor. And we start completely simple with an A minor chord, which is the root note, then a minor third, which is 1, 2, 3, and then a perfect fifth, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And this is a minor seventh. And we use the root note as a bass here also. And maybe we pitch this down an octave. So super simple, minor 7th chord. And then we duplicate this. And then we make it, we do it pretty simple. We just switch around in seventh. So when you go 7 semitones up, you're basically a fifth up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then you go an octave lower, which is basically just 5 semitones lower. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So it's the same basically. Here we go 7 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So we're just switching around the circle of fifth in just, you know, fifth steps. This sounds like this. Okay, so also sounds pretty simple, but it's already kind of synth-wavy. But we make some changes here to some of the notes. Maybe we can flip this up here, so we have this closer to this note. And maybe bring this down. Now we can put this there. We have an easy flow of notes here at the top. We use these notes here. Could be also something. Maybe just leave it that way and bring in here humanize, so we modulate or randomize the velocity a bit. Velocity a bit down. We can also modulate or randomize here the velocity with this one. I think this is better. What we also can do is just chunk this up here, multiple parts. And hit join or Control G on the keyboard. So we consolidate here each part. And then we put this into the clip launcher. Can delete this here. And then you can hit the play button here and go to launch quantization, and then put this instead of whole bars. You can also go here in subdivisions of bars, so maybe 1/8, so 8 notes basically. So every time you press the key here, this is quantized to 8 note grid, right? So we can record this here while pressing the play buttons here and play around with the order of the chords. Let's do this. Right, so you can play around with this. But before we start here with the order of the chords, we maybe should create some kind of drums. So I use a drum machine here. And for 80s songs or synthwave drums, we maybe should use some 80 drum samples. So I search for Lin drum. So maybe something like this, so a kick. Maybe a snare. Maybe a hi-hat. and maybe some toms. Let's put these in here. And later on then for fill in, of course. Let's create here a small pattern. Should use here the snare drum and ring this out a bit. Double content. Hi-hats. Yeah. And also velocity on the snares here, a bit down, so we don't need to use side chaining. Maybe we can also here use for the velocity spreading a bit here, so it's a bit different every time, so a bit randomization brings in a bit of life, you know. So you do this by just holding Alt on the keyboard and then dragging. Maybe duplicate this again, double content, and bring in here the toms. So I keep it simple. Maybe a reverb. And every time a kick comes in, we duck the reverb away. And then we do a peak limiter. Maybe an EQ. A bit. Remove the high end here from the reverb a bit. So it should be okay. Okay, so next up we gonna lay out the structure of the synthwave chord progression here. So maybe we start here with this first chord and just record it. Actually, this was not so great. Maybe make all these things here a bit longer, 20%, so we have more time. That should be nice. So we can select everything here, hit also Control and G to consolidate here this clip. You can see we have now here a chord progression that is a bit more rhythmic because not everything is exactly on the point here, but it's quantized to 8 notes, so it's fairly okay on the grid. Maybe we change here a bit the sound of the synth. So now that we have here the chords, we have also our bass note, which is the lowest note here. We can use for the bass synthesizer. Maybe use the polysynth again here. And now we can just duplicate here this track and use it here down below and, you know, kill everything away and leave only the bass notes for the synth. We can also just use a note receiver here and get the notes from the top channel. Call it after humanize. But now we get all notes, right? What you can do now is use a chord filter here. This one is a free plugin made by myself and on Thomas from the Discord. This is completely free and can select here one note, maybe the first one or the second note. Right, you can select basically here. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then just flow with this and use an arpeggiator here. So maybe use a peak limiter on this one. Maybe this occasion, yeah, maybe I just use the notes from top. So we can modify it also a bit. So in synthwave, it's basically all about saw waves and unison and chorus and making it dreamy and, you know, keeping it simple from the waveforms. So you probably don't need a wavetable synthesizer for this at all. Also always nice to mix in a bit of noise here, not too much, but just a bit. Gives a bit of texture and fills up the spectrum. Or you use here oscillator 2 for the bass. And oscillator 1, it's a bit more of a lead sound on top of the bass. Okay, so the next step is a bit strange, and that's only what I do most of the times. So I transpose everything to D sharp minor. So we are on A minor here at the moment. So we go up to D sharp here, right? And also this one, these chords here. And now we can go to a new sound and use the same synth again, the lead sound. We just modify it a bit. And I play a melody on the keyboard, and when I switch here to my webcam, when I play on the keyboard, I can now use D sharp here and all the black keys to play in D sharp minor pentatonic, which is pretty nice for making melodies. If you can play A minor pentatonic from the top of your head without transposing around, you don't need to transpose around, right? But I do it most of the times, and it's pretty easy to play melodies on this. So let's see. So something like this. This is how it looks like here. And the benefit is when you play this on the keyboard that you get in a lot of informations that you don't have when you play it or when you paint it in with the mouse. For instance, all the different velocity settings, maybe some rhythmic changes. As you can see here, I'm not perfectly on the grid. So you get a lot of humanization for free, and modulation and randomization for free when you play it with the keyboard. And you also can jam to your track, and it sounds much more natural, in my opinion, when you play it in a keyboard. Yeah, much more reverb here for the lead sound. So it's basically the easiest way to make synthwave in Bitwig, just by, doing it how I did it, and, one step after the other. So we have already hit drum machine also in here because we hit record. So we have a lead sound, we have a bass sound, we have some basic drums, some basic chord progression here, and you can also sneak in here at some points weird chords or chord progressions. For instance, you can, instead of using here an D sharp minor, you can also go to, this would be a sus2, or augmented. Right, you can just move some chords around and change the chord shapes here at certain points if you want to make it a bit more different and a bit more spicy and more interesting and so on. But I just try to keep it simple, basically. But you can go nuts with this, of course, right? Also, we have here the arpeggiator. We can also dial in here sometimes maybe a 7th note or 12. All it needs is maybe a bit of cueing here and there. Put this bit down. Okay. So let's call it lead here. This is the bass. Drum machine, chords. Nice. What else can we do? Maybe we bring in some kind of saxophone. And there's a video I made a while back where I used here the Reactor Silverwood sax, which is a free download on the Native Instruments website. And this is basically just a reactor patch. It looks like this. And you need a breath controller to play this. And in Bitwig here, I used some magic from the grid basically to modulate here some MIDI CC controllers to change the breath, which is basically you need to modulate CC2 and CC13 to change something. And here I modulated with the mod wheel on my keyboard. But you can also use an MPE controller, which is much better because you just move around with the pressure and with the timbre, so you can slide up and down on the MPE controller. You can also kind of pitch bend individually on each note, and it sounds much more alive. But you can also just use a MIDI controller like I do here. I just use here the mod wheel on the side, right? So you can play a note. And obviously this is fake because no saxophone player can hold the breath that long. And when you put some reverb on it, then it becomes pretty nice. Let's use here. Pretty super massive. Now also play again on D sharp minor, which is only the black keys, which is perfect for melodies. So switch back here to desktop. So let's record something here on this track. So this is maybe something we can use then in our arrangement. But we can also maybe bring in here some arpeggios. So we use a new track here, pull this down. Use again a polysynth. I really love the polysynth just for making synthwave sounds. It instantly sounds like 80s. We have this, and we use an arpeggiator. Maybe switch to different mode here. So we have this, and we need reverb and delay. Maybe you can remove here the bass notes in this one. We correct the notes here a bit to the like this. Maybe here also. Maybe, yeah, I think it's okay so far. And then insert here some automation part, because we don't want to have the arpeggiator all the time. Up here and modulate this knob here, right? Fade it slowly in. So just use here, make this longer, basically loop it, and then hit Control and G to consolidate into one clip. And then do here in the second one, I maybe switch some notes around. We have this, then we go to the arp, and maybe then we have here at the end some saxophone part. And maybe we do this a bit longer here. Maybe let's record something here. So we have a second part here. Oh, there's something missing here. This note? sooner. Also automate here maybe the cutoff a bit. So for instance, we could open up the cutoff at the end of each segment here a bit more. We have more like an distinct transition from each segment to each segment. Maybe we could here put the transient control on there to glue everything together a bit. Needs to be a low cut. As you can see here, there's a lot of rumble. Something like this. And then you probably have a lot of, let's call it a synthwave tutorial. And if you are producing for a while, then you probably have a lot of VSTs laying around. For instance, you can use here RC20, which makes it instant more synthwavy. It's also about texture, of course, right? You can also use your VHS, which is also a free, free reactor preset. Why does it ring? Maybe. It's a lot. A lot of noise here. It's a bit too much, but maybe you can use it on certain sounds where you want to have this aesthetic. Or if you want to make vaporwave or something, maybe this could be interesting for you. But it's way too much, right, on everything here. But I just wanted to show you the effect. And also this one is way too loud here. Bend it back. Distortion. Also reverb on here. Maybe use satin here on the bass. Tape machine. Pull down here the tape speed. And it gets a bit muffled. Soft clip. If you have a real tape machine at home, then you probably don't need to use that here. But it's, you know, synthwave, it's all about textures and getting the atmosphere of the 80s, so you need a lot of texture. Oh, there's also a plugin I made for myself. So if you don't have this RC20 here, I think it's called Texture. Or Textures, actually. There's also a video about it. You can search for Polarity and Textures. Looks like this, and it does basically the same. You have a texture here. Or you can choose a different texture here. Right, something like this. And then you can follow the wave of the input sound with AM here. You can do basically the same that I did here with RC20. And if you want to use this flutter and wow effect here, then you can of course use the rotary again here. It's basically the same. Maybe it's nice to randomize this here a bit. Oh, you can use both. No, it's too much. And this would be a nice part here, maybe to lay down some vocals or something and go crazy with that. Maybe with the vocoder, or I don't know. There are a lot of ways to fill this space here. And then you have to basically arrange it a bit more. And yeah. So you have a lot of parts here. Maybe this is for the vocals. Then for the bridge here, you get this saxophone. Maybe you change the bass or remove some bass notes in the intro, or I don't know. There are a lot of ways, basically. We just made here some material we can use for our arrangement. You maybe can also drag this here into the clip launcher and then arrange it from there. It's also possible. Maybe here on the thing we can use elevate, maybe. Let's see how this sounds. It's maybe too much. So too much compression is bad for synthwave, in my opinion. It's, you know, in the 80s we didn't have all these sophisticated tools here that can bring out that much loudness. Or we can use full force or maybe unfilter. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel and I see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and bye.